Lift. This is a really interesting little mouse, and I figured I would share it with you because I'm a big proponent of how we interface with our devices, and I chose to upgrade today. I've been using this type of ergonomic mouse for a while, but I wanted to talk about the Logitech one because I finally splurged and got a nicer one, and boy does it stand out. So let's talk a little bit about the mouse and go over some of the benefits, and then we'll talk about the ergonomics and why you might want to do a mouse type like this instead of your usual thing in the future. Here is the actual mouse itself. Now I've gone ahead and saved us all the trouble of opening the package because there's really nothing to look at inside that package, but this is where all the juice is. So when it comes to mice, you might have noticed, yeah, that shape is a little bit off. And we're going to talk about the ergonomics here in a minute. But I went ahead and upgraded this puppy because I thought, hey, Logitech has got a lot of things going for it. Usually they make quite some decent mouses, which I've had in the past, but I've been using some of those Amazon budget ones. I have been using an ergonomic style one like this up until now, but I decided to upgrade. I might have thrown the mouse, I can't remember. You might find some pieces on the ground, but I did decide that it was time to upgrade on this mouse. Now, feeling this thing, when you first grab it at the store, there's not a lot to write home about from an external perspective. Now, this material here is a little bit more, it's got some ribs in there, and it's got kind of a softer texture. It's got a little grippy almost texture. I can kind of feel like my finger's holding on to it, and that's the whole back half of it. This front here is the standard plastic you're used to on all budget mice. Who am I gonna lie about this? This thing is not gonna be the most expensive mouse, but they've managed to cut costs where they can in order to preserve its, what you get inside of it for the bang for buck. Again, this is sort of the softest part of it, and I would say that shape-wise, I mean, I have a pretty decent-sized hand. It does sit in your hand at a pretty nice size. Again, we'll go over the ergonomics in a second. I know some of you are screaming inside, but trust me, it will be interesting. The mouse wheel, Logitech is doing one of those like standard where it's just kind of like lumpy. I prefer the clicks, not gonna lie. So it's kind of just got that almost smooth. It doesn't, see, it's got almost a little bit of a spin there, but it'll slow down. You can feel the notches coming through. It's nothing, not gonna lie, using it is not my favorite. I don't like the fully free ones, and I don't like these ones as much as full click each time, because then you have full feedback on what's happening when you're scrolling down the pages. And you can dial those in, whether that click means a page, whether it means anything, but this is in between. Become used to it. It's pretty standard on a lot of mice. I'm not sure if people understand how to use mouse. Maybe that's why they keep doing it. I don't know, but let me know in the comments of how you think about that. It does have an extra button here, and it has these two buttons here, which are standard default set to forward and backwards on page. So this is, I can't live without this, essentially navigating the internet. First click on Google, and I'm ready to hit this back button as soon as I realize that page is not for me anymore. So other than that, nothing super out of the ordinary. What I will say is that it's pretty simple and standard down here. You can connect this up to 3 devices, which is super easy to push this button. I don't know how often you're gonna do that where you have to cycle through, but it is an option. So if you did have this connected, these are your little dongles here. Again, same sort of simpleness, and I'll show you where this puppy goes. This is kind of cool. I'll give them an A for, ingenuity on this. It's really smooth and flat. Let's see. You can't get in there. There's nothing to really grab. I mean, you could kind of pry at that. It's a push, it's magnetic. It pushes, and then you lift it open, and then the battery's in there, and then you can put this little puppy right in there, and you're ready to go if you want to travel with it. Boom, and it just magnetizes back in. I gotta give them, I like that. I haven't seen that before. Thinking outside the box, I think that's pretty cool. This, I gotta deduct points for. I don't know what is the deal with putting batteries in things instead of recharging them. It's a cost thing, I gotta imagine, but this is absurd. We're in the 2025 now. There is no need for batteries anymore. But that said, I did look on some of them, and they have like lifespans of, like one of the keyboards said like 360 months. That's 3 years. So 360 months, no, it's 36 is 3 years. That's 30 years. I don't know. It's some ungodly amount of time. Where does this thing really shine then? Because I've kind of gone over it and explained it as, no frills, it's nothing super crazy there. Where this thing shines in is going to be its mice spawner, where it actually slides across the screen. The bottom is a very standard smooth. When it used on a mouse pad, it works just as well as it should be. Nothing to write home about, but it's that laser. That laser is very smooth, dedicated to the point. It moves exactly where you want it to. So if you were looking for a very accurate mouse, this is it. It is going to be a difference from what you've been using probably before. You'll need to get used to it, just like changing any mouse though, but it is very nice. And that was seriously an upgrade when it came to pushing out all the pieces as far as using this for making content and moving around quickly or even moving around fine point and slow. It works really, really well there. But my absolute favorite thing when it comes to this mouse is the clicks. Can you hear that? I'm gonna hold it next to the mouse to see if you can even hear this. Its travel is borderline negligible. That's clicking. I'm clicking right now. Look at my finger. You can barely see it. That's me clicking. First off, that travel is insane. Secondly, there's no sound. There's no sound at all. It is game changing when you use this thing from a normal clicky click mouse. Let me go get my other one. Okay. No, this is a judgment-free zone. I don't want to hear any of the talk about what's going on with this mouse shine and all that bullshit. We've all been there. But yes, I'm using the same sort of wild-looking mouse up until this point. Something I got off Amazon. It's a, I don't know, Zeldex or something. The name is, it worked. It was great. I would recommend this if you're looking for a cheaper one. Sure, it worked well. It did have a cord out so you could charge it while it's running, which I kind of loved. It is rechargeable. Yes, it does plug in down here. So it has a lot of the features. Super cool. It has a nicer sort of notchy mouse as far as I'm concerned. But this really will start to get to you. Listen. Okay? Look at how much play there is. Like, look at my fingers moving. It's not even about that I'm moving them more. They're actually moving more. Listen. You can hear that. That's an audible click. I'm sure we're going to have to raise that in post, but that is an insanely audible click. And when you have to click a lot, whether it's editing videos or moving things, or you don't even realize, but it's like a tick. It's a tick inside of your head that will kill you one day. This, you can't hear it. You can't hear it. And it's so gentle. The click, it's gentle. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just such a gentle click. This alone has made this a game-changing experience. I have enjoyed using this mouse for this past several hours that I've been using it as a test. I just upgraded this, so I had to make this video. This alone is worth the entire upgrade to it. Now, I'm not sure if their whole line of Logitech is like that. It might be worth an actual challenge, but if you go and you find one that feels like a fucking cloud when you click on it, then you might be really interested in that mouse, because this is absolutely game-changing. Yeah, I could not recommend that higher. Everything else, like I said, works, does its job. It's all pretty straightforward. That is the absolute game changer on this thing. Audible clicks, not audible clicks, and just gentle. It's like kissing clouds, man. It's kissing clouds. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, yes. Now, before we go, I think we should all just have a PSA about ergonomics on the mice. You can see I've been rocking this style for a while now. Let me see if I can get some profiles here. That one's a little bit bigger. The reason I chose this, so they actually have two in their ergonomic series where it's more vertical. 57 degrees, I believe, is the angle that this number is like touted as. They have two in this line. The other one is a little bit bigger, and I have a pretty big hand. This is the comfy one where I can still rest my hand on the mouse, on the ground, right? You still want a little bit on it. They have another one that has a slightly bigger edge on the side. Comment down below if you can remember what it is. It's like the FX or the MX version. I don't know what it is. But yeah, this one was the one that felt really well. And the whole reason, again, for doing this is that this is really good for your wrists over a long time. I have been on the computer for the majority of my life. The vast majority of my life, I have been using computers, and for the vast majority of the time, I was using your standard mouse. Top down, I'm on the mouse, clicking like this. And you might not be able to see it, but that's how my hand is, right? Obviously, at this angle, it's probably, my wrist is probably a little more angled, but there's a tilt, and then I click like this. On this one, so instead of this, this is how I am. And I'm more sandwiching, and I'm resting on this whole bottom piece of my hand, and my hand just rests. And I can technically still work, and not even, my arm is on the ground. This is one of the beautiful things of it. Now, I don't work like that, but it really did change it. At first, it feels super awkward, but it really changes how you use a mouse. And if you have been getting some carpal tunnel symptoms, which can be a lot of tension in here and pain, which it's so crazy. It's as you get older, you start to realize that these things are like real. Forever, it wasn't happening to me and doesn't happen to me. It happened. It started to happen and I started to notice it. I haven't noticed it since switching over to these types of mouses. So there's your little PSA on getting the 57-degree ergonomic mouses. If you haven't, if you use a mouse all the time, trust me, these work much better. That said, if you're just looking for clouds, just get it for the clouds. Just listen, just get it for the clouds. All right, I've ranted on long enough about a mouse. I mean, we're looking at, where are we? We're over 10 minutes right now. This is absolutely ridiculous for a mouse. So yeah, that's the Logitech Lift. Pretty amazing mouse. I would suggest it. If you're interested, link down in the description. I did put an affiliate link from Amazon because this thing is super awesome. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. If you do get one, let us know in the comments. We'd love to know your feedback. If you think you have a better mouse, I think I've gone on a little bit of a mouse tangent. I would be interested in hearing what those better mouses are because I might try them out. I might become a mouse aficionado, so to speak. I don't know. I'll think about it. But if you have any good suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious to see them. So, all right, guys. See you in the next video. Bing.